2025 backpacking season is finally here. So what gear am I ditching and why? I'm Cam and you're watching Hiking with Cam. I cover backpacking, hiking, and everything in between. A couple of months ago, I put out my full gear video, which I broke down every single piece of gear that I had for a 4-day trip on the Appalachian Trail. It was a 24-pound pack, and that included water, food, and everything. I don't really do base weight. I just do what weight my pack is when I hit the trail. That's fully loaded with food and 1 liter of water. Check out this picture. You can pause the video and take a look at my gear. Every now and again, you need to do an audit on your gear. What new gear exists out there from cottage companies? What gear have you been lugging along the whole time and haven't been using? I'm gonna go over the major gear that I'm gonna swap out this year. All right, so in no real particular order, I'm gonna go over all the things that I'm swapping out. So the first one is the good old Hoka Speedgoats. These were some trusty shoes for a while. Unfortunately, the quality I think just starts to fall apart. Also, I think that these are good for like summertime, but when it's gonna be a bit colder, I prefer something a little bit heavier duty. For example, what I'm wearing right now, which is the Merrell Moab 3s. These things are solid. They also provide a lot more support than the Hoka Speedgoats. I go back and forth a lot, but I think what it boils down to is the Hokas are good for summer and the Merrell Moabs are good for the shoulder seasons like spring and fall. The next gear swap out that I'm gonna be doing this year is clothing related. As I get older, I realize that sun protection is more important. And I used to wear just this synthetic t-shirt that I got from Costco. And I wore this. I also have a long sleeve version of this. And that works pretty well. It wicks away the water really well and it doesn't soak up water. It's good for that. But I found a shirt actually from Walmart, believe it or not. And it's like a UV-rated synthetic blend shirt that's really lightweight. It's gray in color. I think I paid like 15 bucks for it. But the best thing is it has a hoodie. So on those really sunny days on the trail, even if it's fall or spring, and especially in the summer, you got your arms covered, but then you can flip that hood up and it's super breathable. It never really made me hot. And just to have that sun off my neck was worth it in my opinion. So that's definitely a change I'm gonna be making. I'm still gonna bring this, but I'm probably gonna just sleep in it. And I'll be using the long sleeve hooded, let's call it a sun shirt. Let's move on to electronics. So as I've said in the past, I bring a heavier duty 20,000 milliamp power pack. I'm still gonna bring this. So one thing I did in the past, and I feel kind of foolish about it, is I have this super short, like what, 9-inch charging cable. And I thought I was the smart one, saving a few grams and not bringing a longer cord. But let me tell you how inconvenient it is to have this short cord. For example, at night when you're laying in your tent or in your hammock and you're recharging, you don't want a short cord because you want to be able to use your phone while it's charging, or at least I do. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna break down and I'm gonna bring a longer cord. This one's like 3 feet. The other important thing is, this really freaks me out. Bringing a cheap cable on the trail. I've seen cables malfunction before and I do not want to be on the trail when a charging cable malfunctions. So I bring like the premium Apple branded cord with me. This is a lightning cord, 3 feet. Definitely worth the extra grams. Related to the charging cord, as a comfort item, I always brought this wall wart, and this is so I could plug in and charge my my brick charger. But I think this year I'm not going to bring this. Number one, I've never really used this before. This 20,000 milliamp power bank is enough to get me through, so I've never really had to charge it. So even though it's kind of a safety security object of mine, I'm gonna ditch it this year and see how it goes without it. Speaking of safety and security objects, I've always been sort of a wuss when it comes to bears, and I've always brought my bear spray with me. This thing weighs like almost a pound. I don't think I'm gonna be bringing this year. I've already kind of gotten over my big fear of huge bears rampaging through camp, mainly because I've seen a few bears on trail now, and mostly they just run off. What I'm gonna bring instead, so I still feel some safety and security, because you know, who wants a big bear walking through their camp at night? I'm gonna bring this. This thing would scare away bears, no problem. At least I tell myself that. Let's talk about sleeping stuff. I'm not gonna bring my REI Magna 30 because I think it's just way too cold for that, for this trip. The trip I'm going on is gonna be in early March. And instead, I'm gonna bring my hammock gear burrow, which is like a custom one that I made, and I had it overstuffed with like 3 or 4 ounces of extra stuffing, because I like to be nice and toasty warm. And it's very toasty warm. But one thing that I always neglect to bring, and I'm always like, who needs them, are these straps for securing your quilt down to your sleeping pad. I never bring them. And in the summer, I think that's fine, because you don't really need, you know, your quilt to be really tucked up underneath you. But in the fall, winter, or spring, I think you definitely need these. And this time I'm going to bring them. Okay, on to the food and drink category. So normally, and this is definitely a personal preference thing, but I bring these Folger packs. They're cheap. You can get them for very inexpensive from Walmart or any other grocery store. They're like $1 for, I think, 6 packs. But the problem is, they're just not that good. But I didn't really know that they weren't that good until I had this stuff, Café Bustelo. If you haven't had this gets rave reviews, and it's actually really dang good. I've even started drinking it just at home, and I like it a lot. So to me, this is a no-brainer, very easy one to swap out. The next change that I am gonna make is in the sleeping department. Now, in the past, in my videos, I've showed you how I made this envelope pillow. I sewed this on my home sewing machine. This is just regular cotton. And what I do is I just stuff this with anything and everything that I have available, whether that's my rain cover, my pack cover rather, or, you know, any extra clothes I have. But this year, I'm not gonna do that. So what I did is I found the Argon pillow. And this is from Dutchwear. This thing weighs nothing. I mean, it can almost fly away in the wind. But it's insulated, and it just has a little bit more pillow-like features to it than just stuffing this full of clothes. So I'm still gonna use my envelope pillow, but this time I'm just gonna stuff the Argon pillow in there. And I've done some preliminary testing with it where basically I just lay down on the floor and use it, and it's actually pretty comfortable. It reminds me of like one of those pillows that you get in an airplane or something like that. You've all seen my video about hammock versus chair. If you haven't, I'll link it above. This year, I'm definitely bringing my REI Ultralight Chair. Now, in the summer, I will bring the hammock, but I think with colder weather, you do need the chair. And also, I like to tinker and invent stuff. So during my trip in a couple of weeks, I'm going to take this thing and figure out a way and really brainstorm a way on how to keep these legs from digging into the ground. So if you have one of these chairs, you know exactly what I mean. These legs, if you have soft soil, they'll just dig right into the ground. So I'm gonna put my creative thinking cap on and think about how I can keep those off of the ground. Who knows, I might even put something in my Etsy shop if I find a solution that works really well. I'm definitely turning into an umbrella man. I'm totally bringing this trip. So it being spring, we could experience some more rain than normal. So I am going to bring my Gossamer Gear umbrella. This thing is not only awesome for rain, but I love it for sun protection. And this goes back to the shirt thing. Now that I'm getting older, I care more about my skin and skin health. So to have this, you know, you could be eating lunch underneath it, or if you walk through a pasture or something like that where the sun's just blaring down on you, weighs nothing. And it's quite satisfying to have. I made my own Dyneema sack for it. So I really like this piece of gear. Originally I said I was just going to use it during the summer, but I think I'm also going to bring it during the spring too. And I pair this with, I have a rain skirt, and I pair it with that. So I have this, I have a rain jacket, my Outdoor Research Helium, and then I have a rain skirt. Those three things combined make what I think is a pretty solid rain protection while you're hiking. Plus I've got my pack cover too. I am gonna rely more on my water filter. And what I mean by that is, in the past I've brought a backup system of iodine tablets. And while I think I like thinking that way, and I think that's smart to think that way, I have never had to use the iodine tablets. Also, I'm going with a friend on this trip, so if my water filter fails, I can maybe just use his. Hopefully he'll let me. Another change is I upgraded my trowel. So I used to have the regular Deuce #2 trowel, and now I have the Deuce Dirt Saw trowel, which there's very minor differences. It's curved a little bit more, it seems a little bit more sturdy, but also I made a new cap for it, a pusher cap. So for those of you who don't know, I make pusher caps for both tent stakes and trowels, and this edge here is razor sharp, and if you don't have gloves on, when you dig down, that really hurts your skin there. So I make these little pusher caps that go over. This one fits so snug and it stays on there really nice, but just to have that little extra width when you're pushing down is a huge help, to me at least. I sell these on my Etsy shop if you want to pick one up. What about you guys? What have you been swapping out? What are the new things you've been trying? Please leave some comments below. Let's keep the conversation going, because I don't know about you, but I always get ideas from comments and videos like this, especially for like cottage gear stuff and Etsy stuff. If you scroll through Etsy, there's amazing gear there that really never gets highlighted. So take a look. All right, guys, that's been it. And if you haven't subscribed, please take a moment, hit that subscribe button, and please hit the like button. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to grow a community around hiking and backpacking, and I love making these videos. So please join the community, and I will be out on the Appalachian Trail in just 2 weeks to finish the state of Virginia. So when you're watching this video, I'll probably be actually hiking on the AT. I cannot wait. See you guys out there.